What's up, everyone? So this is gonna be one of my shortest vids because I have been thinking and trying to use all of my superpowers to look into the future and see that potential scenario of when, how, or like whenever the QA as a specialty, or QA profession in general, like both manual and automation, whether it's gonna be gone, and what must happen like with the AI evolution in order for it to be gone, but a person is still gonna be needed. So here are some of my thoughts like regarding this issue, or whether it's an issue. So this is gonna be addressed to the brilliant minds of the Silicon Valley, because you gotta check this out, because if you manage to bring this to life, this idea to life, right, and monetize that on top of it all, you'll have to transfer me at least like 10 million USDC via the Ethereum blockchain, like, or just kidding, like 5 million would be enough, because that's how you're gonna change the QA industry forever, at least in my opinion. So let's say I envision a service which would be like sort of like an LLM-based pipeline for an automated quality assurance, like the whole process, pipeline process, sort of the same. Like LLMs will gather all feature-related data and generate QA documentation and CI/CD implemented automated test cases or the suites based on that data. So my goal here is to replace manual and automation QAs, like fire them the F out from all the organizations and businesses. Bring the IT back to its roots, where they were only developers and code enthusiasts, so to speak. And coming from the QA, this is like a self-destruction, right? So this is a self-destructory plan. I should be hiding this like in plain sight or whatever. I don't know. I don't care. But this is just pure curiosity that plays inside of me. So my goal is to destroy the quality assurance as a profession, or at least make it as easy as a prompt-based request to push the button and automate everything. So yeah, I'm Dr. Evil. Whatever. So we'll be using such tools. Let's say like this is a template setup. So imagine your business got Jira for bug tracking, Confluence for documentation, Case.io as a test case management system. Then you got GitHub for repos, code base, and CI/CD pipelines. Then you got the Playwright and TypeScript as an automation testing framework. You got the Playwright's native HTML report, and you got Slack Messenger for test reports and alerts. So it's sort of like a base template, which can be modified, extended, or reduced, or do it whatever. This is like a core for where this service is gonna operate. And imagine this service is brought to life and is working somehow. I would have like several critical questions towards this service. So let's go through all of those. So first question: does an organization need to follow a strict feature, task, or issue creation policy or standard, right, for some algorithm? For example, like when a new feature is described, there must always be an epic or a design mock-up, like separate task or whatever. So will we need such structure? Will we need structure at all? Or it's gonna be like the LLMs, AI agents task to figure this stuff out? So will AI be able to analyze, like the next question, right? Question number 2. Will AI be able to analyze decentralized info and put the pieces together via super detailed prompt asking it to automate specific feature? So yeah, just as I said, if AI is clever enough, it will be able to surf through all of the services, obtain as much data as possible, centralize it, and then analyze it, and start working on the test cases of the given features, or like the whole app itself, or like the components, or in general. So the question number 3: how prone this AI service would be to its own LLM response inconsistencies? What I mean by that, because I think there might be lots of inconsistencies, because AI hallucinates and provides bad answers at times, let alone letting keep up the whole automation framework code base. So question number 4: will AI understand which microservices or repos to integrate with? For, let's say, for example, for a commit-based CI/CD run trigger. So we got different triggers in our automation. We got workflow dispatch. I mean, when we manually trigger the automation tests kind of on demand. Then we got the scheduled runs nightly or cron based, and then we got like the the ones which are embedded into the developer's pipeline, which is the most important part, I think. Will it be able to do that? So like a single feature might require several repos from the code base perspective. So will this service be able to correctly identify what do we need exactly and modify those repos code by generating trigger YAML files, for example? Or if it's other CI/CD like system, there's going to be like other syntax or other file format. So whatever. But in our case, since we're speaking about the GitHub workflows, then it's GitHub workflows, it's YAML. So question number 5. Will AI be able to implement an adequate reporting with relatable KPIs for that specific project? Because even if the tech stack is the same for 2 or 3 businesses, their domains may be different. And therefore, their business models may be different. You know, some of it may be like B2B or B2C or whatever, like software as a service. So there's like lots and lots of those models. And one set of KPIs doesn't work like in all of the cases. Will AI be able to do that like based on the input data? Question number 6. And probably like the most important of all. Will such a service be able to maintain, not only set up, but maintain this stuff? Like all of the gigantic interconnected data web in case there's like changes to any of these pieces, like sub-services. I mean, for example, we got some changes into the documentation. It's very relatable for the startups for when they have their requirements like being changed on the fly, on the go. So if that changes, will this like embedded AI agent, which sorta emulates the hybrid QA, who does both manual and automation stuff, and on top of that does documentation, does reporting, like universal stuff, and let's say a QA octopus, a test ops, and everything all in one. So yeah, sort of like an octopus person. So will it be able to maintain like the actual state of the system whenever the different pieces of the system are changed? So this agent is gonna be needed to work like 24/7, like 365, or like fetch the system snapshot, make like a new updated system snapshot and compare it to the previous one or to the base one, and update everything, like every QA infrastructure accordingly to that. And this also begs the last question, which is number 7. So what if I were to ask AI to search the whole system for changes compared with the latest system snapshot in your memory and update the whole automation pipeline or infrastructure based on those changes? What would it do in that case? Would it be able to do so? If yes, then we're done, So yeah, like if we somehow and sometime live until AI is able to execute and maintain like such a pipeline or infrastructure, or like all by itself, with just with the human preconditioning, like the human factor is going to be only in the input data, like which system are we testing. We're going to integrate it via like API keys into our different sub-services, so that this agent has like a whole picture, and it's going to like start collecting data based on all those prompts, all those like probably like pre-programmed settings which we're going to be using for that agent to work with. If we live until that time and we see such a service operating successfully, I believe that we as QAs are really goddamn cooked. So we're like done. It doesn't matter whether it's like manual QA or automation, like test ops or whatever. We're just done as a profession. It's gonna be wiped off. And yeah, we're cooked. Our profession will die out, and basically it's gonna be reduced to a single push of the button and a couple of settings here and there, and basically some prompt-based setup. However, it's not all that bad. Even if Silicon Valley madmen bring it to life, it's not all that bad, because the question remains open on whether such an autonomous system data output, which it gives us, right, in the end, how it writes the test cases, how it automates, like which selectors does it actually like use, is it self-healing or not? Well, obviously it should be. So whether all of this like output is trustworthy, because how it is with the AI. It may hallucinate, it may produce like inconsistencies and stuff. So you cannot always trust the output, in our present times. I don't know how is it gonna be like 4 or 5 years from now, or even a year from now. Hell, I don't know like what it's gonna be like tomorrow. So maybe somebody releases the model like GPT, I don't know, 6, whatever, and it's gonna like take over the world again, and it's just gonna like eliminate the need for any coding or like for any infrastructural maintenance for the business. But wrapping all that up, somebody will still have to be able to read the logs and reports, formulate the prompts, or like generate the prompts, engineer the prompts, and be able to override the system of AI in case it starts to hallucinate, overcomplicate, or produce some BS output. Makes sense? Makes sense, yeah. So like I believe that we as QAs are actually like far from over, unless a bunch of super crazy madmen accomplishes this goal. We're not done yet, but who knows? Maybe we'll be done tomorrow, or in 5 years. I can't really tell you for sure. So this is what I asked the AI. Let's basically see the responses of 2 models. One's gonna be GPT-5, and the other's gonna be Claude Sonnet 4. So yeah, let's take a look at what does it actually tell us at this moment. So is this goal achievable? Can some new Steve Jobs in some garage in the US or whatever the hell in the world, produce this, make it happen, so that there is no more need for QA? So let's take a look at it. So I've actually input this prompt that I've just read you. I've put it into ChatGPT, precisely 5, and I also put it to Claude right here, like in the Claude Sonnet 4. So let's read this out. Let's discuss and analyze this boring part from both of these models. So yeah, okay. So what does the GPT say? Right. So it says like, Alex, it basically just laid out the Skynet for QA blueprint. And yeah, if this thing existed in a stable, enterprise-ready way, like scalable or adjustable, I believe it would absolutely nuke 80% of the QA job market overnight. So let's break this down straight, right? So like, I think it answers my questions, right? Or kind of analyzes and brings its own like information based off what it has searched for or like combined or whatever. So the first one is like strict feature or task creation policy. Yes. So for an AI to reliably piece together test plans, cases, and automation, the source data must be structured and consistent. This means such things as epics, features, stories, linked design docs, linked repos, linked requirements. So there must be an inner standard within the business, within the company. So on how those like feature descriptions are made, and how the documentation and task, let's say backlogging or like task grooming or task storage, should I say, is kept and conducted, right? So another thing is consistent naming, tagging, so an AI can find the right assets without guessing. So it's not that clever yet, and it sure is not sentient. So if teams just win it in Jira, Confluence, you'll get garbage in, garbage out from the AI. This is like obvious thing. If the input is trash, the output is also going to be trash. So the verdict here for this first question is you'd need to enforce a QA-ready dev process standard before plugging the system in. Can't escape that. So yeah, the next question is like whether it is able to gather and analyze the info from the decentralized, subsystems. So technically possible today with the retrieval augmented generation, sorta RAG. This is the term I've heard of like for the first time now, plus APIs. We all know what API is. So the AI could pull docs from Confluence, tickets from Jira, test plans from QAs, code from GitHub. It can merge them into a coherent context for test generation. So it can combine data from, various sources in real time. But the less structured your data is, the more the AI guesses. And guesses equals test failures. Obvious thing once again. Input is shit, output is shit. So yeah, number 3, LLM response inconsistencies. Yeah, even the GPT-5 model also like sort of acknowledges that this is the number one Achilles heel. So like even GPT-5 or Claude 3.5 can hallucinate dependencies, assume wrong API parameters, or write flaky test selectors. Can't escape it, for now at least. Maybe it's gonna get better. And over multiple iterations without validation, the automation codebase will rot from bad commits. So the AI sorta is gonna try to fix itself, and therefore it's gonna produce more and more like sort of shit ton of code, which is gonna be invalid in the first place. So the only fix is to have automated linting and static analysis on AI-generated code. Then we got the sandbox test runs before merging it to master. Some sort of pre-prod environment, right? And then a human in the loop step for approval. So there must be a human somewhere in this process. But let's go back. But let's go forward to the next question. So repo or microservice integration for CI/CD. So possible in theory, AI can scan feature dependencies, identify relevant repos, insert update, GitHub Actions, YAML triggers. But it must understand repo architecture and service boundaries, which is hard unless it is trained on your entire monorepo plus infrastructure docs. I don't think that this is possible. It's that possible, right? Straight away, because there might be data sensitive data issues, and there most likely will be. If the organization does not follow the should I say some cybersecurity best practices, right? So it doesn't keep all the data secure, or there's some backdoors within the code which allow data breaches and whatsoever. So it's pretty risky at this time to let some AI agents within your full code base, where you store your credentials. Given the fact that there have been some rumors of that ChatGPT leaks the chats of various users. So it's not all that private, even if it's gated, even if it's MFA gated. It's not all that private. It's not as it seems, right? So yeah, can't be 100% sure. Without guardrails, it might edit their own pipeline and break builds organization wide. Pretty obvious, yeah. So not a good thing right here. Number 5 is adequate reporting and KPI generation, right? So this part is actually pretty easy as per GPT-5. Once the AI has test results, plus Jira bug stats, plus coverage metrics, it can generate project-specific KPIs and even push them into Slack or Confluence. So we're already at 90% there with existing tools. The AI just adds natural language summaries. Understandable. Yeah, so let's move on to the next question. So to the answer to the next for the next question. So full self-maintenance after changes. This is the real Dr. Evil level. So I'm describing continuous system different, right? So scan all repos, docs tickets for changes, compare to last snapshot, update tests accordingly. So the problem here is that LLMs don't have persistent long-term memory. Well, for now they don't have, but we're constantly evolving, right? And you need an external knowledge base like VectorDB, metadata store, where the AI keeps historical snapshots. So still the AI might think a change affects feature A, but in reality it's only feature C's internal helper function. Understandable. Yeah, it might do some miscalculations or analysis errors. Understandable. This is pretty obvious at this at this day and age of its development. So maintaining perfect sync is borderline impossible without deep architectural knowledge and strict data relationship. So once again, deep architectural knowledge is, I think this is where the system architect, once again, human factor comes on the stage, right? So basically, it's not all that AI-ish. Yeah, and the data relationships must also be defined. Dependencies and so on and so forth. Yeah, and the last question which I've asked is the trustworthiness of the data output. So, of the system output. So yeah, this is the deal breaker, because even if the system is 90% accurate, the 10% wrong could cause flaky flaky CI/CD rounds, broken pipelines, or missed critical bugs. This is straight away true. If AI makes a mistake in one of the system components, others will quite possibly follow, and it's gonna try to correct itself within a loop, and it's gonna produce lots and lots shit ton of let's say of trash code, and it's gonna eventually self-destruct, I believe. So this is not the best thing. Yeah, so that's why a fully fired QA system is still science fiction. You'd always need at least one QA overlord, yeah, sorta octopus, to read the logs, debug AI mistakes, and keep it from going rogue. So the verdict of GPT-5 is the following. So we could build a prototype today that pulls from Jira, Confluence, like some test case management system like Case and GitHub. It generates test cases and Playwright automation, like for example via Playwright MCP server, or it utilizes that. Then it sets up basic set triggers and HTML reports in Slack via Slack webhooks to specific channels. So it would work like from 70 to 80% of the time and require a QA. This is the key point here. Require a QA lead to babysit it, sort of, to overview everything and correct where needed. It would save a lot of grunt work, but it wouldn't be a press button or, test universe instantly thing yet. Understandable. So like full self-maintaining, hallucination-free, repo-aware, QA Death Star, that's probably like 3-5 years away for reliable enterprise use. Okay, so we are, if we believe the GPT-5 model's response, we still have from 3 to 5 years where we should not worry about our like job positions or like income levels. So we are still good and we're still early, thank God. So this is to everybody who's like wondering whether QA is done, whether AI is going to take over. No, it's not. It can be a helper, it can be a tool, but it's not taking our professions, at least just yet. At least not up until like 2030 or whatever. So we still like got plenty of time to enjoy our projects, to enjoy our like testing tools, just to enjoy working as we do. So this is a good thing. Now let's also read through the Claude Sonnet 4 model response for the same prompt, right here. So yeah, let's read it through. So it says like, all right, Dr. Evil, let me dissect your master plan for QA world domination. Your vision is actually closer to reality than you might think, but there are some delicious plot twists ahead. Yeah, right. Why wouldn't there be, right? So yeah, the current state where we're already there, like, but partially, as it says. So your timing is perfect. Like, what is this autopilot? Have you guys ever researched that? Like, autopilot gives Gen AI power across the automation lifecycle with autonomous test automation generation. I think I'm gonna have to research that, but probably like in a separate video. So this is the repo of this MCP Atlassian. So yeah, this MCP allows us to interact, like to connect with our Confluence and Jira, like Atlassian Cloud, I believe, and operate based on our organization's data or like the knowledge base within the Atlassian. So this is like one MCP. Another MCP is Playwright. So we are moving there, I guess. Right? So and tools now offer zero test maintenance by learning continuously from user interactions. This is our Playwright MCP, I believe. Yeah, this is already in use. So we got Atlassian MCP and Playwright MCP so far. Let me go back to it. So agentic AI is already transforming software testing with unprecedented autonomy. Yeah, like to some extent it does, I believe. But it depends on what you actually want from it, how it can help. And doesn't it dumb you down? I don't know. This is like a topic for discussion. So, answering your diabolical questions. So first off, strict feature creation policy. GPT said that yes, this is necessary, while Claude says not necessarily. So modern tools generate tests based on live user data, autonomously identifying business flows, like the Playwright MCP, of course. The AI can work with a messy, decentralized info. It just performs better with structure. I do not actually believe that the Playwright MCP is so powerful. I've tried using it, by the way, and yeah, it is good for, if you are automating stuff on the UI level, strictly on the UI level, then it may be good in some cases. But if your tests are kind of end-to-end and you are using APIs and, God forbid, DB connections, if you need to check that, of course, then, and if it's all combined in your scripts, it might be, it might be very, very difficult for the Playwright MCP to correctly, work through that data, because it's like it's very diverse, and it requires it to have like the full access to your repo at least, or best to your code base, I believe.
in order to construct those queries, those bodies. It has to have the access to the API schemas. That's also like very very important if you're like testing either like end-to-end, full end-to-end, or on the API level. So there's lots of nuances to this stuff. But yeah, let's go further. Let's go forth. So yeah, question number 2: putting pieces together. Yes, current AI agents can already analyze requirements from Jira, designs from Confluence, and code from GitHub simultaneously. So the MCP protocol makes this seamless. I believe it might be pretty good with the documentation. Not so good with the test generation, but pretty damn good with the documentation. And, bug tracking, test tracking. So yeah, let's continue. AI response inconsistencies. Well, yeah, here's where my evil plan hits a snag. Because AI reasoning models in 2025 face error rates up to 48%. And it brings us this article as a resource that backs this up. So basically, yeah, I'm gonna read that through a little bit on later. So yeah, it provides us with the info like 48% of error rates. Can you imagine that? So no, AI is not replacing us, at least not yet. But enterprise solutions like Victoria's hallucination corrector reduced hallucination rates to about 0.9%. This is interesting. This might be an interesting point for further investigation. But the key is external fact-checking and self-reflection mechanisms. Understandable. Yeah, so let's go for the next. Move on to the next question. So microservices integration, absolutely. Now, AI can already analyze dependency graphs, identify affected services, and generate appropriate CI/CD triggers. This is happening today, but I would not rely on that too much because I've tried that and I still had to manually correct the code because the logic was, somewhat of invalid and produced bad results. It either didn't launch or, when I've had the trigger in the dev repo, it did not actually trigger the test in the QA repo. So I've had that issues with it. So it's too early to trust it fully with these tasks. So yeah, number 5, adequate reporting and KPIs. Current tools offer logic insights that review, test logic, and suggest improvements to boost reliability and performance. Custom KPI generation is trivial for modern LLMs. I believe so. This is probably the easiest part for the LLMs. To generate the KPIs based on the input data regarding the business, regarding the system, and all those services that we are connected it to. Yeah, let's move on to the next question. So maintaining the data web, all this interconnectedness and maintenance. This is like the actual, as it says, the actual $1 million question because self-healing features automatically updates tests when UI changes, obviously. But maintaining complex interconnected systems requires sophisticated orchestration, which is emerging but not perfected. So we are not there yet, once again. And last but not least, system-wide change detection. So if I believe like mine, compare with the latest system snapshot idea is good and totally feasible. AI agents can, differentiate the entire system states and propagate changes. That's good. This is like, I believe like Pixel Diff or something like that, or like Applitools Eyes does that, but for the visual part of the system. So it takes a screenshot as a baseline, and then it takes another screenshot where there's some changes on the next test run, and it compares the two. So if we have some new elements or the old elements have changed, like color, size, like styles, it's gonna give us an error with specific indication of those areas of the web page. The same approach applies here for the whole systems, I guess, like more complex systems. Yeah. So the reality check why QAs are not cooked yet. Once again, both GPT-5 and Claude Sonnet 4, they both agree on the fact that QAs are not done yet, and I pretty much agree with these AI models. So the hallucination problem: even as models advance in capability, their propensity to hallucinate is potentially increasing, and you'd need human oversight for validating test logic. Just the things that I've said, right? So you will still need the human operator to validate test logic, interpret failure patterns, working with historical data, historical test artifacts, and historical reports. making strategic decisions for testing. So like we have the data now, but where do we go from here? Maybe we need to change some approach. Maybe we need to implement some new, let's say, testing tools. Why not, right? So this can happen. So it's not like we just taken some snapshot, uploaded it into this service, and it is like working autonomously and does like it's sort of like sentient, right? It's not sentient in any shape or form. So yeah, in handling edge cases that AI misses. Well, I don't know. Personally, I think that AI would be much better in generating the test cases, given if it's provided the correct data regarding some specific feature. So the trust problem, someone still needs to verify that AI isn't generating tests that always pass, or like false pass, so to speak, or missing critical scenarios. So the push button get perfect test dream requires and still needs human validation. What I wanted to say with this video, which I guess has turned out to be pretty long, but if you made it, you're a real hero. First off, I wanted to, to push this idea to those Silicon Valley masterminds who know and can achieve anything, the real wizards of this technological revolution. And second of all, I wanted to say that we are still not there yet. So we as QAs, and this goes out to every single one who's working in software testing or quality assurance, speaking more high level, that you are still safe. Don't worry about your jobs. Don't worry that much about your positions. So recession is one thing, but we are not cooked. We have not yet moved through this revolution. The AI revolution has just started probably, and we still have lots and lots of time basically to improve ourselves and to go with the flow, to adjust our knowledge and skill sets and tech stacks so that we are still in the game. And we will be and stay in the game for at least 3 or 5 years. So we have time up until 2030. So that's the bottom line. I thank you for being with me during this pretty complex and long video. I appreciate your attention. I appreciate your interest, and see you around in the next videos, right? So once again, thanks, and Alex over and out.